One of my favorite comic book characters for as long as I can remember has been DC's Swamp Thing. I love classical monster stories like his that have a very poetic and tragic side to them. Swamp Thing is an incredibly powerful plant-based entity that had absorbed the consciousness and memories of scientist Alec Holland following an accident involving a biorestorative formula in the swamplands of Louisiana. The mind and body of Swamp Thing is connected to all of the plant life on Earth, referred to as the Green. It would later become a cosmic energy force that actually connects all plant life in the universe. There's a lot of really good and underappreciated Swamp Thing stories out there that I hope to look at someday on the channel, but for right now, I wanted to review a newer one of my favorites, Swamp Thing Winter Special from 2018. Now this one-shot was an 80-page giant that was made as a dedication to the creators of Swamp Thing, writer Len Wein and artist Bernie Wrightson, who had both passed away the previous year. It contained an unfinished story by Wein, featuring Swamp Thing, Batman, and Solomon Grundy, that was going to kick off a new series, a continuation of his dead Don't Sleep miniseries, but sadly, Wein died before it could be completed. It's presented in the Winter Special with just the artwork by Kelly Jones, as the lettering script for it was not done. I recommend you glance through it at some point, as it's a nice send-off for Swamp Thing's co-creator. Even without text, you can still follow the main plot points that unfold. Housed inside Swamp Thing Winter Special is also a brand new story entitled The Talk of the Saints, written by Tom King with art by Jason Fabok, and it's going to be the main focus of my video today. It's a very short tale. It won't take me too long to go over it, but one I find rather beautiful and a perfect encapsulation of everything I love about Swamp Thing, what the character really means to me. The story sees the bayou hit with a harsh blizzard. Swamp Thing bears the elements, carrying a young child in his arms, and does his best to shield him from the unforgiving cold. A snow monster has been chasing them, and Swamp Thing has fought it off numerous times. But because the heavy snow has quieted the Green, Swamp Thing is unable to remember what has happened. Using his abilities, Swamp Thing creates fire from one of his detached hands, grows berries for the child to eat, and uses the blood of a bear who had tried to attack and kill the child as heat for him to use as well. They also come across a hunter who is nearly frozen to death that Swamp Thing is forced to take out. He intended on using the boy for food and apologizes for his actions, claiming it's the snow's doing. It's what's making him so hungry. Swamp Thing continues to carry the boy throughout the frozen swampland and is told by the child countless times of how they had managed to escape the snow monster that's been chasing them and all of Swamp Thing's victories over it, none of which Swamp Thing can remember. The boy's father had died, and the child asks Swamp Thing if he had ever been a parent, with the boy offering to be Swamp Thing's son, an idea that makes the plant entity smile. The two get caught in an avalanche, and by the time Swamp Thing reaches the child, he is chilled to the bone. His left foot becomes frostbitten, and Swamp Thing is forced to amputate it in order to save the boy's life, something he gets called a monster for. With the Green covered in snow and frozen solid, Swamp Thing has grown weak, visibly thinner and thinner as the story progresses. Eventually, Swamp Thing begins to see the boy for what he truly is, the snow monster. Swamp Thing knows it takes years for his body to deteriorate as much as it has. He wonders how long the two of them have been walking in circles for. If the boy had been real, he would have died long ago. If by some miracle he had survived, he would have physically aged or withered away from malnutrition. Also, the comic doesn't address it, but it's evident that the boy's foot has healed. The amputation that occurred was a distant, or more than likely non-existent, memory. Deceitful little bastard. All the time he had spent with the boy gave Swamp Thing a sense of humanity, something he has sorely missed and longs for. But this humanity has also weakened him. He understands that in order to beat the cold, to bring back and effectively protect the green, he must kill the child, and in essence, sever a large part of that connection he has with the rest of humanity. Swamp Thing kills the boy, and we are gifted with a very strong and poetic visual, the child representing a large part of Alec Holland's humanity melting away in his arms, allowing the green to grow back around him and through him, stronger than it was before. One could simply view this story as a literal battle between Swamp Thing and a mysterious snow monster, manipulating him in the form of a young boy, but it's really about Swamp Thing battling himself. The harsh winter has seemingly forced Swamp Thing and the rest of the green into some sort of temporary slumber, but more believably, I think all of it is a figment of Swamp Thing's imagination. The snow, the boy, all a nightmare-like vision he had created for himself. Swamp Thing is battling with his sense of identity. He is coming to terms with who and what he really is, what he must do as protector and avatar of the green. Though he shares the memories of a man, Alec Holland, he must let go of his human side, let go of what he once was. It's touching, it's beautiful, and it's heartbreaking. I wish I could give him a hug or something. Keep your chin up, Swamp Thing. We love you, buddy. So yeah, that's the Swamp Thing Winter Special, and the neat little story, The Talk of the Saints. It's one of my favorites featuring the character. Is it the absolute best ever? No. There are much heavier and thought-provoking storylines out there, but for anyone not very familiar with Swamp Thing and his whole deal, I think it's a nice little place to start. I want to thank you all for watching this review. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, make sure to support the channel and ensure the production of future content like this by subscribing, hitting that bell icon for notifications, sharing it to anyone you know who might get a kick out of it, and by becoming a producer over on patreon.com if you can, for as little as $1 per month. I will see you all in the next one. Take care, stay safe, and always stay nerdy.